Hi, and welcome to today's live stream. We are going to talk about if you're hiring, like is your employer hiring? Are you looking for C++ positions right now? And especially like what meaning C++, what I can offer you when you are looking for filling your open positions for C++. This is a specific focus today. The reason is very easy. We have a C++ job fair in October, 1st and 2nd October, and we already done that in April, as you see. And I'll be talking about this, but also some other things with hiring, my experiences through the last years with hiring. So if you have open positions, you might want to contact me. I can share them at Meeting C++ with Meeting C++, and also the job fair should be interesting to you then. Also, if you're looking for C++ folks, Meeting C++ 2024 is the place to be. Think about sending someone to the conference. If you're a bigger company and you have the budget for it, sponsoring would make sense in that context. And that also, just reach out to me, contact me if you have any questions about Meeting C++ 2024. And with that, let's talk a bit about the online job fair. We've been doing that for 4 years now. I have the results from last year on the blog, if you look for it on meetingcpp.com. And parts of the results which we're going to look at today are from last year. So for years, I've been hearing that it's difficult to find C++ devs. I do want to say that this has changed. This has changed last year in particular, as simply it has become easier to find people, and companies are still looking, but with less effort. And started a year ago to look into how the situation is, and it was the reach I have to simply ask the community, simple question: is your employer currently hiring or not hiring for C++? And also in that context, how is the situation? How many companies are still setting teams free? And so these are results from last year in April and August, and you see it's around 50% hiring, and then a bit of a different distribution for the two other values. Then on Twitter, and this year we see that the value for hiring for C++ goes down a little bit, 46%, and here this is again for last year, and I seem to have duplicated some stats here. So here we are, April, and then we go here, who is hiring and who is not. This year in Twitter, it's a bit more than a third that is currently hiring for C++ according to Twitter. But Twitter is not that, Twitter's quality has gone down a lot, and I'm not trusting it that much. So in contrast, the values for LinkedIn, 2023, we see around, again, 50%, always the trend always has been that there's a few more people hiring on LinkedIn, which is very surprising, right? And then in February this year, we saw around 47, and in April, this went up a little bit to 51, and then the September survey shows it's right now about 40%. But this comes a bit as a caveat. There's these surveys prior to the survey in September now, I run during the midweek where everyone is on LinkedIn. And this time I started the survey on Friday. So a lot of people on the weekend, and I guess I just query a different population here. So I don't know how the survey actually would currently look if I started the survey for 3 days, how I usually have done it on a Tuesday. I might do that to just see the difference in results. And yeah, if you compare it, we see that there's, again, in Twitter, the result that people are less hiring now, it's something which I don't know. We're getting out of the holiday season. Germany is a lot in recession right now, and I see that a lot of people are still waiting out and having problems with their budgets to grow their teams. So this overall result makes sense, but still, if you are hiring, if you have open positions, that doesn't matter, right? You want to reach people right now. So if you're in that position, and we see that still is like lots of people which are out there, which are actually hiring, right? This is 40% of 367. That's more than 100 people which are hiring right now. In that case, I'd like to know from you what you're hiring for C++, what you're looking for, and also to talk to you if it makes sense for you to attend the job fair. All right. So let's talk about what Meeting C++ can offer for hiring. The Meeting C++ job fair exists for a few years now. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And this is basically the plan for this year. Unfortunately, we did not find a company willing to attend in March, so March had to be canceled. April, we had one company, and now I'm looking for companies to attend the job fair in October. I may host a November job fair. I've announced trainings for Meeting C++ today, which are in the last week of November, and that also would be a good fit to host a job fair in the same time frame. So the job fair concept is very easy. You have a digital lounge where tables exist, and the companies, the sponsors of the job fair, sit on those tables, and they are then visited by the candidates. The candidates can go from table to table, and the recruiters, of course, they stay at their table. And then there is a CV sharing form, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But this is the basic concept. We have this digital meeting, which is 3 hour longs on the first day in the afternoon for Berlin time. And on the second day, if someone books this, we offer this in the evening. This can be very good for people that don't want to attend in the daytime or cannot because they have a job and then they come in the evening. Or basically, it also allows us to reach into different time zones. Like the first day is more in Asia friendly, and the second day in the evening is more friendly to Americas. And we usually kick this off as a live stream, like I do currently, to get a bigger audience and to just get a little bit of the employer situation clear, that we don't always have very well-known employers, so some people might not know what they're doing. And so I think it's great to quickly give everyone a sentence about every employer on the fair, and so that they kind of know about who is attending. I also can organize your own event where you bring the content when you want to be the content, when you want to have the full attention for your product, for your jobs, anything. Actually, we're doing it this Thursday. Poco is hosting a sponsored event on Thursday about IoT with Poco. It will be very interesting. Thank you, Poco. And let's talk about the CV sharing form. If you sponsor the event, you will be listed on this form for 6 months. And this is how the first page of this form looks. You will be asked some minor questions, right? Which region you are from, e.g. continents in this case, and then your remote and relocation availability. your C++ skills and kind of in which fields you worked as a dev. And this is shared with sponsors, and also optional candidates can choose to be on the listing for 6 months, but more on that in a minute. And generally, this page just creates a light profile for the employers to have a look at, and also I'm drawing statistics about the general population. Last year, because of the fewer interest in the event itself by companies, I introduced the ability to list yourself on the listing, and candidates can choose to be visible to future employers for 6 months. And currently, this has dropped due to summer, and just one company on this right now from the April event, 219 in April. It was still 63. With the conferences, probably will pick up again. But also very much depends, of course, if companies value being visible to the C++ community or not. As I said, right now it's very easy to find candidates, and so for some companies it's not as important as it was. And I hope that we get to have again more companies which value my work and which value to be visible and to have a conversation with candidates. And here's one of those statistics I've talked about. This is basically the event from April, probably everything until April. In the candidate status. Yeah, okay. So this is the candidate listing. What kind of dev are you? You see Linux 14, 11, and 17 is leading. That's just typical. We'll see that over and over again. That's just the current trend. The background from the candidate listing: embedded took the lead in last winter and is still in the lead. Desktop, automotive, server, finance, and so on. Right? There's a lot to choose from, and that's by design. C++ is used in a wide field of industries, and both fields for skills and for C++ work fields and experience during your career are multiple choice. And here's a statistic from last year. We had, in the year of 2023, we had 225 candidates from 52 countries. We always have a bit of a chicken and egg problem. We have some countries where we have a lot of candidates from. That's usually India, Germany, United States. And then it depends if we have from a different country a company attending, and then we might get more interest from that. Also, it's kind of, the more companies are attending the event, the more well-known this event becomes, and the more people will submit through the form. And so currently, as we are, at least in Germany, in a recession and less German companies are coming, we see that these numbers also from submissions to the form has dropped. And for 2023, the skills are Linux, C++ 11, 14, and 17. And in the newest data, I can see that 17 becomes more popular with time, which is not very surprising, right? A lot of companies seem to at least move to 17 now, which is good. And then there seems to be quite a skill gap to C++ 20, and also a gap in compiler support. Today, LLVM 19.1 has been released, which is great to know. And we'll see how many companies are actually able to move to 20. And if you look into the skill set here, this is around the 50% mark, is Boost, Qt, and functional programming. And the fields of work for 23 are still the desktop and the lead. This changed later. And then embedded, automotive, server, finance. And there's also a huge influence on those fields, especially the minor fields where they land. If I had a robotics company attending, I probably would have a lot more people from robotics coming and AI. The same is like with finance. We had some finance companies attending, and then we always get a lot more from finance. Very similar with gaming. We do get a little bit of attention from gaming, but I guess it's also like together connected with finance and other fields where people just have worked. Because like when you're looking for a job, you don't care like what type of C++ your new position writes, right? If it's a position you want to have. So, and last year I thought that I would like to have data to compare this to. So I added these multiple choice fields to the survey I have. And so we can have a bit of a, since June last year, a comparison to how the overall population of C++ developers is distributed in those questions, and have in mind this is a different tooling and a totally different context. But so far I can say now where we have more data in this, around 600, the results are very similar. This is the current standing for the question on C++ skills in the survey. And the top 5 are again, 17 is first by a small margin. We see that 11 and Linux are the next positions. Then it's 14, then it's CMake. We see that C++ 20 is becoming more popular, but it's basically just crossing C++ 03 right now. So C++ 20 is coming and will be an important thing to see, because I have the data from the previous years and I will have the data from the coming years, how actually the C++ 20 adoption in the industry is going along. And currently, I think we already can kind of see the C++ 17 adoption from the data I have. Another thing which I find interesting is Conan is more popular in this dataset as VC package, but that's a very small lead. And we'll see if this changes over time. And this is the whole graphic a bit bigger. We see like Booster being popular, Dear Imgui is popular. Android and iOS are not as popular, interestingly, but macOS is way more popular. But there's probably folks, using macOS. Unix, Windows, Linux. This is a very wide field of skill sets that I just, added to this. The survey has more specific questions, of course. The top 5 C++ skills from the community compared to the job searchers last year, we see that C++ 17 has risen. In April, it was still on the 2nd place. And the same is true for Linux, that Linux has become a little bit more popular, a little bit more common in the field than C++ 14. But that might just change around again. CMake stays 5th, and I think that's probably where CMake stays for a while. Fields of work in the community is very similar. We see that desktop is still more popular than embedded. And if I, blow this up a bit, and it's easier to see, there's not a big change. Automotive is not as popular anymore, I think, or doesn't gain as much because this doesn't go down, right? Industry is the 3rd place, followed by server, image processing, and then is automotive. So if you compare that last year for the job searches, it was the first 2 are the same, and then it's not so relevant anymore. I think automotive, server, finance. And this year it's industry, server, image processing, and automotive. But industry is also kind of a catch-all. And when you're looking for a job, you're probably not as great in the mood to choose industry than when you're just taking the survey. So that's probably one of the things why industry is in the community survey more popular than it is in the job fair. But we'll see how this evolves. I also ask for question of experience. So how many years of experience do you have with C++? And here we see that basically it's always 1/3 or like 50% to 10 years experience. So there's juniors, people which are around senior and getting senior, and some people that are just 30 years in the industry. And that is the data which was gathered from the CV sharing form. So when you come as a sponsor to the event, you get access to this, but also you help us in, having this form being live, and that helps us then gathering this data and helps you with decision making when we have the ability to kind of show how C++ skills get along in the community. And this is then a like candidate profile. The candidate then itself has to choose in the next page which of the listed sponsor companies they want to share their CV with. This is not like an open sharing. The candidate chooses to share with who they want to become into contact at best. They also can choose the open listing, and some companies may look into this, but just as when you're looking for a job, I would wait until like a day or the day of the job fair to submit this form, to make sure that every company that is at the job fair is listed, and then you can it's more efficient than to use the form and be in contact with all the companies you'd like to. The next step for the candidate, is then to upload also their CV or resume, add a general cover letter if they want to, and then this more or less goes into the database and gets forwarded. There's a bit of statistics on the event. We had usually around 60 candidates submit, sometimes a bit more when we had more companies, and when we had less companies, we had less candidates submit. I had once in a year 2 events in a quarter, because the first event had 1 company, and then 2 companies said, well, we weren't able to make it to the April event. How about we do a June event? And that was also what we did with both companies. They followed through. But then I see that it's kind of not so interesting. So it's, I think, the first 2 which are below 60. So the event features sponsored tables. These are then the employers are listed in the CV sharing form, and their logo is on the website and the link and in the job section. There's an introduction on the live stream. You have access to the recruiting tooling. I'll talk about this a bit more in a second. It enables the advertising for the event, and it drives and guides the tooling. There's free tables to test this and to just, be visible to candidates. So this is listed below sponsored tables. I had to limit this to 2 visits because companies found this as a really great event, but they didn't want to spend budget on it. And I have to also be paid for my work. Otherwise, I just not going to do this. Unfortunately, I had to do that. And so we are seeing now that, we see how the interest this time is. If we have enough tables to host the event, if we only have like 1 or 2 free tables, it doesn't make sense to host the event. Which brings me to the, just what's a question? A common question is like, what is a table? Table is basically a video room where you sit with the candidates in a view of a video conferencing, and everyone is able to join by clicking a seat until the seats are all gone. once two folks sit, then this meeting starts and they can have a video conversation. You can present things. There's a chat. And so you have a casual conversation. So this is not meant to be an interview situation. This is meant to be a casual meeting to meet the community, to find candidates that are interested, and to get a vibe and a feeling for both sides, and then do the interview a week later or a day later, depending on how you want to do that. And there's a time limit by 1 hour. You see like those countdowns, which are above the tables here. Simply rejoin the table at the end of this meeting. When you're a candidate, you can go to any table. If you're a recruiter, you go back to your table. This is a bit of the recruiting tooling I have. The graphs I showed you, I also give to you as a company. Those are the candidates that have submitted to you in a listing below. And above that, you see the graphs, which simply let you know a bit about the candidates in general, what you have. And this is also very useful when you have to do a presentation or something to how successful was our stay at the job fair, for example. And also it generally helps you to have an overview on who and what kind of candidates you attract as an aggregate. And then the whole access to the candidates is listed below. The CV sharing form already sends per email. If you like that, you can turn that off, but the default is the CV sharing form sends per email the candidate to you. And there's one step before that. I have to okay that just to filters out spam, which I have a slide for here. So, and then there's a search. In the very popular times when we had more than 100 candidates submit to this form, it kind of got clear that we have to support searching for various candidate profiles. Classic example is a company that has two positions. One of them is the front end and they use Qt, so they want to find someone that has Qt experience. And the other team has a position for someone who works in embedded with C++ and Poco, of course, because, why not? And so they can do that. And so then they simply can search for that and find the right candidates that, have embedded knowledge or want to work with Qt. And there's also a text search if you just simply, not everything is covered here. And that basically is the whole job fair. It's a long-time project and it needs C++ employer support, and that's basically right now what is lacking. I have to clearly say that we had only one job fair with one company. Thank you for that. But that's why it's really important to sign up early. Then I can give you as an employer much more visibility to the community. And then for more than 4 years, we've been doing this event, and the whole feature set and the dates is always evolving. This year, we're doing it again in the beginning of October, not in September. And I hope for a good turnout and that companies are again beginning to look into other ways to start hiring people and to get into contact with the community. And with that, let's see your questions and read chat. There's a question about why only C++. I do not mind if you're coming with other positions, but meeting C++ is very specialized in C++. So I mostly reach into C++. So it would be interesting to run a job fair that is open, but the tooling which we have right now is very much geared towards C++. So that is what meeting C++ is, right? That is very specialized, I know. And right now, I think a lot of the companies which are doing the hiring are more special, not that specialized. But meeting C++ itself is about C++. So I'm not sure that would work out. And the tooling we have is actually not really supporting this. But thank you for your interest. If you have open positions and you want to be at the job fair, there's a link in the event description. Jobfairmeetingcpp.com should also get you there. The events are already visible on the meetup. And generally, of course, when you're listening to that on LinkedIn, just, send me a mail, send me a contact. I think on the next slide, I have my contacts right. So info@meetingcpp.com if you have any questions, or just contact me over LinkedIn. October 1st and 2nd are the dates. If you're saying we really would like to come, but those dates are not fitting us, I can right now, of course, see if we have a different date, which another week would that fit better to you, and stuff like that. As long as nobody signed up, we can be flexible with this. And with that, I hope to see many of you at the job fair, which at the moment is planned for October 1st and 2nd. And so thank you for listening.